Hey everyone, welcome to the Slice of Construction podcast. I'm your host, Jared Taylor. Joining me today is the founder and CEO of Lumber, Shreesha. So excited to have you on the podcast today. How are you?
Excitement is all mine, Jared. Looking forward.
Let's dig right in. First off, we like to kick things off with a question of you run into someone on the street, they see you wearing that quarter zip, and they say, "What is lumber? Tell me about it."
Yeah, so Lumber is a workforce management platform for the construction industry. That's my one line pitch about Lumber. And then I elaborate saying the construction industry is in a crisis when it comes to workforce. Uh, with the amount of retirement that's looming ahead in next 7 years, 41% of the construction workforce will be gone. And somehow the youngsters are not that motivated to join the construction industry. We are doing our best to promote the trade schools, but it's not happening at the pace that we need. And it takes about 11 years for a youngster to become as good as the ones retiring. So, how do you fill that gap? And so, Lumber is not only solving that problem, but it's putting the importance of workforce right in the forefront in the construction industry and in the construction firms.
And how did you come up with this in the first place? What was that moment of like, because there's always, anyone listening to this that starts a company, there's always the initial like seed of this is interesting, and then you start to go down that rabbit hole, right? So what was that initial point that you're like, I should start to dig into this? And then how did that lead to the point of saying, all right, let's start this company?
No, absolutely. I'll go a little bit personal
Okay.
there, Jared. So I've done, this is my fourth startup, and I was at that, you know, point in time where after I came out of Medallia, I had sold my previous startup to Medallia as part of the team that took Medallia public. And so when I came out of Medallia, I was like, I'm done with selling to the tech world. I want to do something more challenging. I want to find new meaning in life. And I felt with all the experience that I've gained, I'm ready and in prime form to go and solve a big challenge. And so then I was thinking, let me go into an industry that's lagging behind others. And I met several people, and they all pointed out to one thing: if there's one industry that really needs a lot of help, there are a lot of gaps, there are a lot of problems to be solved, it's construction industry. So once I established that, I got excited about going and solving the construction industry, given how big, large construction industry is and how much impact it has on the society, right? You pick up all the big big cities in the world, they're all known for the structures that they have. You take New York, what's the first thing that comes to you? It's the skyline of New York, right? So it's all about structures. And so was excited about the impact that will have in with the society in large at large. And so I started talking to a lot of construction firms out there to understand what problem I go and solve. And initially I was thinking about payment, solving the payment problem in the construction industry, because that's my background. And when I spoke to a lot of the CFOs, controllers, I felt like somehow the problem has been duct taped to some extent. It's not a burning need. It's not painful enough that they are like, we need a solution right now. And as I was talking to these construction firms, I realized how tough it is to get labor. There are so many jobs in the construction industries that have not been filled, and the construction firms are ready to embrace as many apprentices that come through the door. And that led me to this aha moment where I said, it's the future of construction industry is going to be all about workforce experience and excellence. Experience is how can you get workforce to get committed to the construction firm that they are working for? How do you create this aura of belongingness? And then excellence is how do you get them to be more safer, more productive? How can you get them trained faster? And when that came, all of that came together, I really got excited that we are going to build this massive workforce knowledge graph that's going to revolutionize the industry. that's going to make it easy to build uh, apps on top of it. So that's how lumber came about.
The construction space is so interesting because unlike so many industries, right, when we're talking about all things AI, the construction industry, it you can't it like people aren't going to be replaced. We need the workforce. We need people that are willing to go into these roles and put up these buildings. To your point, and so solutions like this are super helpful in helping um and helping that group of people. What As you were starting this, what was the best piece of early advice you received from someone in the industry?
Yeah. So the first thing that a lot of people actually mentioned about construction industry is that it's incredibly hard to drive adoption. And the moment you figure out how do you get construction firms to adopt your solution, then the acceleration becomes easy. And so when we were building lumber, Jared, I was like, our end users are going to be the back office staff, which is payroll managers, HR managers, controllers, CFOs. And it's easy to get sucked into that persona, user persona, and build a product just for them. But instead, we took a step back and we said, ultimately, we want to move the needle for the workforce. And it's all about creating that workforce experience. So we have two user groups. One is a back office, and they matter, but let's center our UX paradigm towards workforce. How can we have that mobile app that's workforce friendly? It's easy for them to figure out the context they are in at that moment. It's easy for them to do the data entry. It's easy for them to capture images that will give the detail about how their day was. Or if they are injured, then it's easy for them to provide that status so that help can come to them easily. So that was the UX paradigm that has helped us to get our initial traction, and that's why everybody's so far has been raving about the user experience that we provide through our mobile application.
I love that. Yeah, you do hear that adoption it can be, well, it's not impossible, right? But they want the right solutions in order that are going to move the bottom line, that are going to actually improve the business. Now, with every good piece of advice, there's also some bad advice. So, what would you say with this venture? What's the worst piece of advice you've had that I'm not even saying you went with? Maybe you were like, no, we are not going to listen to that, because there is bad advice that entrepreneurs get, right?
Yeah. So the worst piece of advice that I got about construction was that the only way to do selling, it is to sell to this construction firm, is by having field salespeople. You have, so you need to build a sales army to sell the product. And product led growth will not work at all in this industry. So that was, I call that as a worst piece of advice, Jared, because what we discovered is that while it's true that the construction industry is more touchy and feely set of folks, they reciprocate really well when they meet somebody in person. It definitely helps. But this is an industry that's ready for change. What we have been seeing is that the construction firms have been largely family owned. So it's the families that have been running the construction firms for a long time. But the next generation is coming in, and this generation is aware of all the modern technology. They've been used to Instagram, they've been used to Facebook, and they are ready to embrace the digital channels much more. And so that has really helped us. Once we understood that, that has really helped us to figure out what sales strategy to adopt, when to make it more personal, when to keep it digital, and what kind of strategies work for the construction industry.
I mean, product led growth, it just makes sense, right? Like for people to be able to, the best product should win. And I think in the past, relationships are obviously still important, but in the past, product led growth and construction was not, like to your point, right? It wasn't something that people use as a growth strategy. But I think now that the opportunity has increase because of, you said, the next generation coming through. What what excites you about kind of what's next for lumber?
Yeah. So I talked about this huge opportunity of building the workforce knowledge graph, and and you know by now that everybody keeps talking about AI technology. Everybody keeps talking about Chat GPT latest version, and that's going to continue um, happen at fast pace. No doubt, technology will keep improving, but ultimately, what decides whether it's a good AI solution is the data. If you don't have a good data, the AI models cannot work their magic. So good data is important, and I'm really excited about the data that we are collecting, and the potential AI models that we can run on top of it. To give you an example, time tracking data. It's existed for a long time. Workers clock in, clock out. But what has not been mined uh, thus far is the fact that time tracking data also has additional information along with the time data, which is basically people are uploading the progress that they have made that day on the task. If they get injured, they upload the pictures to show the extent to which they were injured, or what happened. And so all of that data is there, and if we leverage the data well, we can get a lot of inputs in terms of training, right? If a worker is being highly effective, what makes the worker effective? What has the worker done every day, or how has the worker gone about doing a task in a project? It also has data or trends that can be extracted about what causes a lot of injury. If a worker is getting injured often, what's the training the worker had, and how can we improve the perspective of the worker so that they can avoid that injury. The stats around injury is shocking, Jared. Like the number of accidents that happen with the younger lot and non-English speaking workforce is very high. And why it's high? Those all information is right there in the time tracking data, and that's what I'm excited about, bringing those kind of solutions to the industry with the data that we are capturing.
I'm super excited for you and the team, by the way. And I always tell people the reason I do these on video and not just audio only is so that we can see the excitement and see your eyes light up when you're talking about what you're building. So, love that excitement. What's what I guess changes do you think we need to see? This doesn't have to be company related, but what changes would you like to see in the construction space over the next, let's call it, 2 years?
Yeah, definitely construction industry overall, I think, comes last when it comes to embracing digital tools and technology. There is no way they can overcome this workforce crisis if you do not embrace technology. Um, we talked about training. How do you extract the knowledge, the tribal knowledge that's with the workforce, senior workforce who are retiring, and how do you take that knowledge and pass it to the next generation? There's a lot of such kind of scenarios exist where technology can truly be deployed, and it's not about replacing the workers. You cannot replace the workers are irreplaceable, but you can use the technology to enhance their productivity, to enhance how they go about safety. So that's where I'm really excited about where industry can go, and if they just open their mind a little bit on process automation, on deploying AI technologies to improve their life. Long way to go, but I feel like we have made a solid start.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how things continue to play out. But just you see, like every year, it seems that, to your point earlier, that adoption of new technology is being welcomed because what worked 5, 10 years ago is not going to work moving forward, right? So these new technologies do need to come into play to continue to innovate in the space. Um, it's super exciting. Let me tell you, I'm really glad that we were able to chat a little bit and hear your thoughts and talk about lumber. Where, if someone wants to learn more about the company, where can they go to either connect with you or learn more?
Yeah, it'll be great if they could visit our website, which is www.lumber5fi.com. And I'm always reachable on LinkedIn. I've got my sales team on LinkedIn as well. So feel free to connect with any of us. And we'll be more than happy to show you what lumber is all about.
I love it. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Jared.